The night before Charlie was murdered, and I'm not just saying this, but I went into his office. This was after we had a meeting. You were in the meeting, Blake.
So that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness, my friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be. What our friends have had to endure is not funny, and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it. For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls asking us to respond. People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show, but for a long time, our approach was to say nothing. We did that for several reasons. First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes. That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to. The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls. Focus on the mission. Reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven crowded. Don't give air to people who want to tear you down and sow discord. Lastly, we didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing. But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country. And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people, people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of tacit admission that some of the attacks are true. Neither is the case. Our silence has never been, and it will never be, equal to complacency or approval. Still, we decided Charlie would not allow this to go on. Charlie was not a coward. Charlie was a fighter. Charlie would not allow someone to spread lies about the people closest to him with impunity. And he would feel ashamed if other people were stepping up to defend his friends while he never did so himself. Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix. At this point, we believe the ball is back in her court. Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy, his work, and the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life. I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future. Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix. At this point, we believe the ball is back in her court. Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy, his work, and the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life. I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future.
Yay! Finally, you didn't have to get through all that shade that you were throwing me to get to the point that you were willing to answer questions. I'm the right person to sit across from you and to ask you questions, right? Some things that you told me on that day, they're not adding up. I think the entire world would like to see this discussion. You can pick the place, you can pick the time. I say we do it tomorrow. We don't need to plan for this. We don't need lawyers in between us, lawyer statements. It's not how I roll, okay? I don't care about any of that. I want it to be authentic. Like I said, you can take the money. We can raise money live for this conversation. That is how badly the world is demanding it. So I accept it with whistles and bells, everything. I fully accept. I say, let's do it tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow. And my only ground rule is no assassinations. Okay? No assassinations, no funny business. You can't pretend you're going to do it and then Candace died in a mysterious accident. Okay?
Wow. Oh my gosh. It is Wednesday. Yes, you are in the right place. This is Pop in Politics and we are live. If you didn't know it, if you didn't see that, the gauntlet has been thrown. The Matador has waved the red flag and the Coliseum is full. You got Candace Owens supporters on one side and TPUSA supporters on the other. The games have begun. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. It is Nicole and Shelly E. from Pop in Politics. KJ is off, and I think we're waiting for Tyrone's might be popping in a little bit later, but we are going ahead to get this show started. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we dig in, Nicole, let me again welcome our audience, our chatters, our super chatters. We have two off the bat. We have Hat Lady. Thank you for your $5 super chat. She's saying hump day. Yeah, it's hump day. And Kung Fu CJ, thank you for your $2 super chat. He says, hello, PNP family. Let's get into this. Not CO. Well, unfortunately, we got to spend a little bit of time, right, Nicole? Nicole, how are you? Are you ready for these Coliseum games?
No, this is a bunch of damn foolishness. Let's start off. Nothing is going to be resolved. They could literally, God forbid, dig up Charlie Kirk. Charlie could tell her what happened and she's still not going to believe it. This is absolute foolishness. What they should have done is allow their legal team to do what legal teams do. Shut up, crazy folk. This is not going to turn out to anything other than shows like this one reacting to infinite amount of crazy stuff that comes out of this. It damages both brands. It makes both sides look left of center. It is the very last thing that we need in this moment. It validates the crazy.
I think in a way you're right, Nicole, but I honestly think this does have to play out. And again, these Coliseum games have begun. Unfortunately, Charlie is resting in his grave. I do believe he's resting with the Lord, but I think he's a little crying maybe tonight. He's probably weeping, seeing all of this that has taken place or the way these trajectories have gone since his unfortunate assassination live on TV. Oh my gosh. Of course, Candace looks excited and, she's been waiting for this. But many people have been wondering, when is TPUSA going to respond? Are they going to respond? And let's see. We have another response in these whole Coliseum games. Let's see clip number 6, because we did have a response for Candace and after that TPUS video today as well.
The night before Charlie was murdered, and I'm not just saying this, but I went into his office. This was after we had a meeting. You were in the meeting, Blake, me, you, Charlie, and some other folks. And he was going to dinner, and he said, hey, you're going to dinner with Blake and Danny. He said, Blake is my secret weapon. He's the smartest man I know. And he loved you. And for anybody to suggest, whether it's Candace Owens or any other person within TPUSA was somehow complicit in his murder, is to say that Charlie Kirk was such a bad judge of character that he put a bunch of traitors around him. If there's anything I knew about Charlie Kirk, is he knew how to spot talent and integrity and people that wanted to make a difference for the Lord and the country. Charlie was brilliant at that. It takes a lot more faith to believe that Charlie didn't know who his friends were and picked all the wrong people to surround him to build an organization that came from nothing to the most powerful conservative organization in the country. In 13 years, he built it, and it was big before 13 years. He really got it moving in about 7 or 8 years later. It strains credulity to suggest that people within that organization, people that he handpicked himself, somehow murdered him. If you're going to suggest that, you better have a lot of evidence, and I have seen none of it. It's unconscionable that anyone would say this without evidence. You can slander, you can say what if, you can have all sorts of innuendos and insinuations. That's not evidence. You can have dreams, you can have hunches, you can have vibes. That is not evidence.
Yeah.
No court.
Thank you so much,
No court
Frank.
would say that's evidence. I'm sorry, Blake.
We have to leave radio here for a second, but we're going to go through the break.
Shelley, this is just a hot mess, and it's going to get messier. These people at Turning Point USA are at a distinct disadvantage. Now, we've seen two clips with two of the people who are going to be leading the charge to have this conversation with Candace. They're struggling to conjugate verbs. Now, I don't know if it's because they're not public speakers, if they're not classically trained, or if it's just the grief that's getting in the way of them articulating themselves in a way that's going to compete with a motor mouth who has nothing to lose and everything to gain. If there was a button that said, this is a dumbass idea, I would be smacking that button with wild abandon. This is the dumbest thing they've ever done. It is not going to bring one more person to Christ. It's not going to change the ideas of any of the people who follow her down the rabbit hole on the regular basis. It ruins their brand. It puts them in a place where they're accessible to other weirdos like Candace. At this point, it's a lose-lose proposition.
Yeah. Again, Nicole, I agree with you. I guess I'm going to say I agree with you theoretically. I don't know what the word is. The thing is that, again, I do think this has to play out in this whole big scheme, in this whole saga, if you will, because, again, we've seen it all over Twitter, social media, YouTube, the back and forth, even spilling over, if you will, to cause friction within the MAGA or the conservative Republican movement, of which Candace says she doesn't call herself a conservative, at least not anymore. But I think this is a part of it. It has to play out. Even in our comments, we have people, on whatever side A, side B, and some in between. So I don't think this cannot happen. It has to happen. Do I think anyone's mind is going to be changed? Maybe very few people, if you will. I don't think most people's minds are going to change. But in that longer clip of Blake Neff, I think his name is, from TPUSA, in the longer clip, if you watch it on X, he does mention a few reasons why TPUSA has not responded until now. Right. What I do think is in play is that once they have that sit down, I'm sure their lawyers and legal teams are going to be there. I think after they have that sit down, that is going to be used for some further legal action, because that will be the official, if you will, the official or sanctioned response and retort back and forth. And that will be used further down for some legal action, because up until now, I should say, basically, Candace can rightfully, I guess, constitutionally, free speech, if you will, she can say that she's giving her opinion. She's giving her thoughts, which she has a right to do. Once they had that sit down, I think all bets are off.
Well, listen, this is the beautiful thing about American law. It's a double-edged sword. They don't need to file a case to win. They just need to file a case to bankrupt her, because this is one thing that we know that she really loves: money. This is all clickbait for her. For her, this is a joyous moment. The money that she's going to lose to the Macrones, she's going to make back on this. Make no mistake. This is a losing proposition. Again, if you're a person who's grieving, the last thing you want to do is get into a fight with a podcaster with nothing to lose. It makes no sense. So not listening to their legal team, who I'm sure are somewhere doing what I'm doing, about to pull their hair out going, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Not one of you are Charlie. Not one of you are not grieving. You're not in your right mind. So you're sitting there, and as kind as I can say this, you're reading a prepared statement and you're stumbling and stammering over that statement. Then the other gentleman has all of this righteous indignation, but only in a Christian way. Let me tell you, you can't bring that pseudo righteous indignation into an arena with somebody who's going to bring all the demons in hell with her. It doesn't work. You don't have a leg to stand on. This is a horrible, horrible idea. Horrible.
Yeah. Well, folks, we want you to stay with us tonight. We have a packed show, and we're going to give it to you as succinctly as we can so that you can leave, armed, if you will, with more information, some insights, even your feedback. Don't forget, while you're here, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Make sure you do that. It helps to keep our post up in the algorithm. I don't know how those things work, but that's what it does. It helps to keep it up there so you can see it, you can share it, like, and make sure you subscribe so that everyone can see that we are here live in person. So, go ahead, Nicole. What were you gonna say?
Well, listen, this is one of the things I wanted to say. Although that's a really bad idea, here's a great idea. Everybody, I keep telling you guys, we're running out of time for shopping for Christmas. It's getting close. You know, I got some of my Black Friday things in the mail today, but one of the things I have not yet received is the second supply of these t-shirts, right? I am fortunate enough to be doing some things with the administration over the coming weeks, and I intend to gift some of these shirts and try to get Sec War to put one on. That would be kind of hot, huh? I think the ladies would tune in for that. And drop one at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to see if we can convince the president to hold it up, slide it on or something. Cash Patel and a couple of others that I'm going to try to convince to wear the shirt, even if it's just for a photo. You know what I mean? It would be really cool. So get yours now, because I got to tell you, if Sec War puts his on, they're going to be flying off the shelves and you're going to wish you had one. It's going to be FOMO. So get in while you can.
All right, so Nicole is not playing. If Nicole can get the president and Cash Patel, if anybody can do it, Nicole can do it. And also, we want to, if anybody can do this, Kung Fu CJ can certainly do it. He is here again. Thank you, Kung Fu CJ, for your $2 super chat and for being a member of our Freedom Seekers Club. He says, tell him, Nicole. So Nicole is definitely good for telling people what she thinks. So look, everybody, again, I told you we had a jam-packed show, but so we've talked about Candace Owens and TPUSA, and I'm just calling it a saga. But let's bring it a little bit closer to home, because we still have a saga going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota, one of our great states, okay? There is so much corruption with the Somali community. There's more coming out with the corruption, with the Medicaid scam. But there's also a really important story that's coming out about this particular Somali. I'm going to call him a guy right now. From here on out, he'll be known as piece of shit. But this Somali guy coming out. And this story is important because it highlights the segment or the intersection between the Somali community. Yes, I'm saying the Somali community because of all the corruption going on in Minneapolis, the government, and crime. Let's look at clip number. Where's my clip? I'm sorry, everybody. Clip number 1. Take a look at this.
Out on probation for sexual assault is charged once again. This time, prosecutors say he picked up a woman he met on Snapchat and raped her at a hotel in Bloomington.
Now, prosecutors once called this man an extreme public safety risk, but he never spent a day in prison for his previous crimes. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni joining us from our newsroom now. And Mike, prosecutors signed off on plea deals in these previous cases.
Kelsey and Randy, a judge sentenced the Minneapolis man in those cases back in May, but he got credit for time served, so he never went to prison. It was all part of a pair of plea deals. This is the man we're talking about. His name is Abdimahat Billy Muhammad, but prosecutors say the 28-year-old uses the names Kareem and Altesto on Snapchat, and that is where investigators say he met his latest victim as well as his two previous ones. Prosecutors say he picked up his most recent victim in Mankato back in September, then drove her to a hotel near the Mall of America where he took her phone, told her she wasn't leaving, raped her, and held her against her will for days. That's according to prosecutors. Investigators used DNA to identify Muhammad as the suspect. His profile was already in the database from previous cases involving sexual assaults in Minneapolis in 2017 and another one in 2024. A Hennepin County judge sentenced Muhammad in May in those cases, including one involving a 15-year-old girl. Prosecutors say two other unidentified men took part in that assault, and one threatened the victim with a gun. But Muhammad never spent a day in prison, as we said, because he got credit for time served while awaiting trial as part of a pair of plea deals. We've reached out to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office for comment. A spokesman there told us it is checking into it.
Wow. I want to take just a few seconds or a few minutes to highlight some of the important pieces of information that I know that newscaster tried to condense. Mm-hmm. So this guy, Abdimahat Muhammad, again, further on known as piece of shit. So piece of shit for me, a 28-year-old Somali immigrant. Now, keep in mind that he started his crime or his criminal activity, i.e. raping, kidnapping, holding people at gunpoint, strangling women, meeting teenagers, if you will, even on Snapchat, doing all of these aforementioned crimes in 2017. He's 28 right now, which means that was about, 8 years ago or so?
Yep.
So he was, 19 or 20 presumably when he got here, maybe a little bit younger. I couldn't find any specific information of when he actually arrived in the United States. But in 2024, September, this is when he was prosecuted or held, if you will, for a crime that he had done in May. They caught him in September. So 2024, same year. In May of that year, he was arrested, charged with rape. He reported strangling. He was reported as having strangled a woman and threatening someone with a gun. This was May, and then September when he was caught and charged for that in May. Well, it doesn't stop there. In October of 2024, he was charged again. Keep in mind that all of these charges and these prosecutions, he was given sentences, but never served jail time at all. These are rapes, kidnapping, strangulations, even a gun within these committing these.
I think Shelly's frozen. There you go.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So bring it forward, and now he is being charged again for raping someone again. And now he's being held, I think, without bail in Minneapolis, which I'm going to start calling Mogadishu-opolis. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it. Mogadishu-opolis, where all of these crimes are going on. Nicole, how does this Somali person, this piece of shit, come here, commit these crimes, never serves a day in time? Not that he was not found, because he has been presented before judges several times. Mm-hmm. How does this happen?
Yeah. It happens because blue states are soft on crime. It is the way that they were elected. On paper, it sounds like a good idea, but in practice, it leaves the general population as prey to people who know that they're going to get coddled. Maybe they might get 3 years suspended. They may have a GPS tracker, but imagine, if you will, being a young woman who's walking around in the Mall of America, minding your business, and being held by this person who's not fumbling around. He's absolutely his intent is to terrorize her, to assault her, to terrorize her. You get to court and they give him a plea. There's no reason for a plea deal. They had DNA. They linked him to the crime. So why in goodness' name, why would they take a plea? 1, because it's cheaper. 2, because it's easier. When American justice has gotten to a point where the courts are overloaded and they'd rather take a cheaper plea than go to court and make sure that this person sits in front of a jury of his or her peers, it's something wrong. So we have a couple of things here at play. We have activist judges, but we do have some pending legislation in Congress. Hopefully people jump on to Representative Randy Fine's bill where he says these activist judges put themselves in a position where they can be sued by victims' families by releasing repeat offenders over and over again. 17, 18, 19 arrests in 3 months. All of these kind of people wandering around the country, and these judges are saying, well, you know, they had a rough childhood. You know, he was a refugee. You're right. He was a refugee who sought out and terrorized the young woman, forced himself upon her like it was nothing, treated this woman like trash, like they often do in their home nations.
Yeah.
So deporting him is not enough. They should imprison him first and then deport him.
Exactly. You made a good point. And we've been saying this for a few weeks now. President Trump has said it. Other people have said it. Non-Western people from these third world, thank you, President Trump, garbage countries, they cannot and will not assimilate here. Ayaan Hirsi Ali has been saying this for years. These people are incapable and or choose to not assimilate. What they want to do is they want to come here and they want to make our country like their countries where they left. But can you blame them when we have American politicians, elected officials catering to them? Let's take a look at clip 2, and you'll see why we're saying this.
That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Ku Janila Hai, Waan, Ku Gereb, Taganahan.
You know what?
Where was the translator?
He doesn't need a translator because he's preaching to his constituency. Well, this is what happens. You know, people, they called me everything but a child of God when Barack Obama started depositing these people all together in clumps in America's heartland. Oh, you're a xenophobe, you're a thistophobe, you're a thatophobe. No, what I am is an American who's over your plan to overtake this nation. This is ridiculous. When you think about Somalia, where these people come from, their crime rate on the world stage is in the very high index. You're like 63, 64% on the world index of 100. You know, their safety rate is 32. Crime is their way. Crime is their way of life. Now, I'm not saying that all Somalis are violent. I'm not saying that all Somalis go out and assault people. I'm just saying when you're brought up in that environment, and they come here and we roll out the red carpet and give them everything and bend over backwards for them, it's something else when they make you bend over another way so that they can take things that don't belong to them and terrorize young women. This is ridiculous. And speaking in Somali makes him the king of pandering. The king of pandering. Ridiculous.
Nicole, it's shameful. Look, for at least this year, I'll say at least, I have been saying that if you were not born on the United States soil, particularly the 48 contiguous states, if you were not born on the United States soil, then you should not be able to hold office anywhere. I'm beginning to think that is going to apply to some Americans who were born here, like the Jason Fry's of Minneapolis. This is shameful. That other congresswoman we showed from New York that was speaking to her constituents, and I don't know wherever, telling, I guess, the Caribbean people to come here and basically join her district. This is shameful. This is treasonous. Okay, you get on your camera, your soapbox with Americans' taxpayers' dollars, and you speak a foreign language to them? Are you serious? This is shameful. And the American people of Minneapolis, you should be in an uproar. You should be recalling Jason Fry and anybody else that sits on any local state or office in your state and recall them for doing so. They are basically telling you don't matter. What you need, they're telling you all you need to do is put them in office, and they'll take it from there. That's what they're saying to you all. This is utterly disgusting. They are shameful. They want America to be something other. They want America to be Mogadishu. That's why I'm going to start calling it Mogadishuopolis. That's what it is. That gets me so pissed off, revved up, if you will. Let me say this hi to the super chatter, Nicole. We have a super chatter here. I saw the producers put her up. Simply Asha B. Thank you, Simply Asha B. Thank you for your $5 super chat and for being a member of our Freedom Seekers Club. We appreciate you all for your super chats and your comments. Keep them coming. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget, Nicole's going to tell you again how you get our merchandise, Nicole. Let's let them know because it's Christmas time.
Listen, go to our dasher at the bottom of your screen and you'll see our new merch. That Unapologetically American shirt, I'm telling you, you're going to get so much wear out of it coming into the next year with so many America 250, we call it A250 celebrations coming. It's going to be an amazing year. Get your stuff now and get something that you won't see 1,000 people in. You know, you could buy the flag shirt from Walmart, but this is a little special to set you apart in the crowd. $25. And listen, get it now for Christmas. Don't wait. Do not wait.
Don't wait.
So, Shelly, one of the things I wanted to point out to you is you remember we had this conversation at the beginning of the election cycle about why Democrats brought them here. What's the point of having them here? Why put them in clusters instead of sprinkling them across the country? For this exact reason, so that they could get elected and change the quote unquote fabric of this nation. That's not a misnomer when she said we consider ourselves the fabric of the United States. They really and truly do. In Minnesota, they have successfully replaced their lacking Black vote with a brown vote. It's coming for you. It's coming for you in every single state in this nation. They are going to replace Black folk, period, with brown people who are very, very, very loyal because they're the reasons why they get to stay. So when the administration says we're going in and we're going to, Kristi Noem says we're going to take a look at these 50% of people who lied on their applications, did not tell us the truth of who they are, people that we can't vet, even if you have a green card, you got to go. You got to go.
Yeah. Nicole, you're right. And we're going to show clip number 3 because we have a few progressive lefties, whatever you want to call them, these white lefties who are telling minorities or Black and brown people that they should be afraid of ICE. The nerve of these people. Let's see clip number 3.
Something else you said you'd had it with are minorities in ICE.
I mean, that connects to this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, not only do you have no moral compass, and how many times have you seen these guys? They've got their masks on, so you can't see their whole face. But what you can see, it's like a brown skin tone and a dude who looks like his last name is probably like Lopez or Hernandez or something. It's like, what is wrong with you? Not only do you not have morality, apparently you don't have self-preservation. I mean, these people hate you. They hate you. They hate your family. They hate your kids. They hate your future grandkids. They don't think you belong here. You're not a quote unquote heritage American. You're never going to belong. And you're the one implementing the violent force against your own community. I just can't wrap my head around that.
Wow. Wow. So wait a minute. We are supposed to be, Nicole, you and I and everyone who looks like us, we're supposed to be so, needy and incapable of determining or deciding that ICE is really here to protect us, not harm us. But we're supposed to think that the BLMers of the world and the Antifas and the George Floyds, again, out there in Mogadishuopolis, they're the ones who are the martyrs and they're the ones who are doing so much for the communities except burning it down in the summer of love. We're not supposed to know that, right, Nicole? These people, all they want, again, is to destroy. They really don't give a damn about us. They really think about this much if this much at all, of us, people who look like you and me, Nicole, because they really think that we're imbeciles. We can't think for ourselves. We can't do anything without them. You're just a needy little black person or brown girl, and let us come and tell you that ICE is the boogeyman. Basically, this is all they think of, while these two bitches live in their protected bubbles. Okay, probably will never set foot in the heart of Mogadishuopolis, Minneapolis. Probably will not. Probably will never go and lay a rose at the martyrdom throne of George Floyd. These people are some of the most disingenuous, unserious lefties, progressives, destroyers. And I'm saying destroyers because they want to destroy America. And they think zero, not even this much. They think zero of us. Nicole, am I wrong or am I way off? Please tell me.
No, you're directly over top of the target. Let me tell you, this is what we call that maternalistic school of thought. This is, these women being awful, affluent, white, female leftists. It's who they are. And they think they know everything. You don't get to decide your future. I'll decide it for you. It's almost, let me see, what's the word that they throw around a lot? Racist? To tell brown people and black people where they can and cannot work? What happened to all the marching you did to say black and brown people can make their own decisions, but here you are trying to decide for us? I'm telling you, Botox Betty is on my last damn nerve. I get it. It's her show when she's supposed to rant, but at some point there has to be some kind of infusion of thought. What they need is some testosterone in that, and not the soy boy kind, an actual man, right? To show up and say, listen, ladies, I get that this is what you would say after maybe 3 or 4 glasses of Chard, but this is not the right thing to say. You don't have control over the futures of anybody except for yourself. That's it. You don't get to tell black and brown people what they can and cannot do, period. They have problems with ICE for ICE doing their jobs. Then this is how you change that. They're enforcing the law. You don't like the law, elect people who will change the law. That's how that works. But what they cannot do is sit there with their scalps pulled back to the back of their damn necks and talk trash to brown folks because they think they're better than, they're smarter than. And how dare you have a thought without me co-signing on it? This is what I'm talking about when I say that they're replacing black people with brown people, and they don't give a flying fuck about anybody. It's not about anybody but them. This is the face of the Democrat Party. Now, I'm just going to be very honest. I'm not a fan of people who Botox themselves to death. I think it's very unattractive. But I'm just going to say, if they pull that woman's skin any tighter, her skull is going to pop out. It's just going to come out, and it's going to be unfortunate. It's going to be truly, truly unfortunate.
Nicole, again, I agree with you, but I think you might be wrong, Nicole. Because even in Mogadishuopolis, we have another example of these people electing, again, non-immigrants. And guess what? They are trying to change the law. It's not going to benefit Americans. It's not going to benefit native Minneapolians. I think that's how you say it. It's not going to benefit them at all. Before we show that clip, I'm going to say, hi, brown eyes. Don't you make my brown eyes blue. Thank you for your $5 super chat. And thank you for joining us tonight. She says, hey, ladies. And we have Kung Fu CJ again, I think. I think I saw that come up. But yes, thank you, Kung Fu CJ, again for your $2 super chat. He says, viewer discretion is advised. R-rated truth, capital truth. Exactly. Thank you all for your super chats. Again, this is Poppin' Politics. We're on live. You're in the right place. KJ is out for a couple of days, and we are holding it down. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Tap, so your heart is content. But hold on to that content. You're going to need it, because when you see this clip, again, another non-immigrant in Minneapolis, Mogadishuopolis, trying to change the law. And unfortunately, if you take Dearborn, Minneapolis, and some other places, these people, these non-immigrants, particularly these Somalis in this case, they are changing the culture and some of the laws. Let's see clip number 4.
One of the thing I do want to say, and obviously everyone knows that our president is racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and we are going to fight that. America has a history of fighting and stopping those kind of individuals who continue to divide people and divide communities. Many Somalis that live in this community are working at your groceries, working at your hospitals, delivering your babies. They're doctors. They are very successful individuals. Now I would like to switch into Somali to speak to my community. Assalamu alaikum. Walaalayaal waxaan la hadlayaa community-ga magaalada Minneapolis. Anigoo ah Jamaal Cusmaan. Waxaan inii sheegayaa sida Minneapolis garabkiina ay taagan tahay.
It's a damn shame. I mean, it is almost incomprehensible that this is happening in America's heartland. It is almost incomprehensible. We can lay this out a bunch of feet, but let's just kind of take a look at that clip and tear it into small little pieces. Number one, county councilmen, city councilmen, yes, they do represent their district. And he comes from a very large East African district, mostly Somali. And he's definitely not very aware of who America really is. A couple of things that he said is that, Donald Trump is xenophobic, Islamophobic. And as I have said before, the United States ain't phobic on anything. You hear me? This nation is not afraid of Somalia. We're not afraid of Islam. We're not afraid of anything on this globe. Not one thing. We go to bed at night safe and secure, and we wake up even better under God's grace. So hear that. Most importantly, though, he says America has a history of fighting these kind of things. Where? Wait. I've been an American for at least 40 years. Let's do that. We don't have that history. I've lived here my whole life. That's not a history that we have. People have the absolute right to feel the way they feel about anybody else. That is a part of being an American. I don't like people who, talk to people with peanut butter on their breath. For me, that's disgusting. I can smell it. It stinks. Don't do it. That doesn't make me a penophobe, person. What the hell? We have the right to decide who we like and who we don't. I don't have to engage with you. I don't have to. It's not necessary for me to believe in your God, to walk your walk, to live your culture. It is not necessary for me to do that. Whoever told you that told you something incorrect. That's not how America works. It is not. However, I strongly suggest you take all of your professional Somalis and all of the education that this nation gave you for free and go back and build your homeland. Let's make Somalia great again. I wonder what that acronym looks like. MA.
And I want them to go back to Nicole, but you know what? These people, they're not dumb because they know they can't do what they're doing here in Somalia, Ethiopia, because they will be literally beheaded, stoned to death, and all other kinds of heinous killings that they will endure. Their families may be burned alive, okay, for no reason except that they have a bloodline. I mean, that's it. So they come here to, again, destroy, to uproot. They take advantage of our freedom while Americans don't partake of the benefits and blessings of freedoms enough.
Listen, preach it. You hit that nail right on the head. Right on the head.
What they do. They come here. They have the audacity, again, to come here. And I'm going to say pretend, if you will. They pretend that they want freedom. No, what they want Americans to be Islamists or to be made into Muslim, forced by no less, okay? Forced into Muslim rule, if you will. Sharia law. They take advantage of our freedoms. They even take our damn benefits because you have again, the welfare fraud that's going on there, okay? So they take our food, our housing, our culture, they usurp it, and then they try to throw it back in our face to tell us that we are racist and xenophobic and all Islamophobic. Guess what? I'm not Islamophobic, but I know you asses are mullahs. I know that you all want to kill us. I know that you want to destroy us. I know that you don't give a damn about Americans or our country per se. You just want to use it to rain down Sharia law and any other kind of forced religion and customs. Again, I'm not wearing a burqa. Nicole is not wearing one. We're not doing it. KJ's not wearing one. We're not doing it. I'm still going to be carrying my guns. Okay. I'm going to be locked and loaded. And that's it. That's it. That's ultimately what we have to do. Americans in Minneapolis or Mogadishuapolis, from sea to shining sea, from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic to the Canadian and Mexican border. Americans, we have to wake up. Okay, it's on, as they say. It's on. They're already here. It's not just coming. They are here. When you can change Dearborn, Michigan, and parts of Texas, New York, just not voted in a communist, a full-blown communist. And then these people in Mogadishuapolis, they are speaking Somali. Are you kidding? On our tax dollars? No. Minneapolis, KJ asked y'all a couple weeks ago, where did all these people come from? These crazy people in Minneapolis. Well, guess what? Like on the show Martin, I don't know karate, but I know crazy. Americans, you better know crazy and get your asses up, because our country is being taken over. They are here and we need to rise to the occasion. I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. These people mean me no good. They don't mean us any good. They want to come here and change it like the hellhole, or like President Trump said, the garbage dumps they just left. We have to put a stop to it. We already take too much from our own Americans. We're not going to take it from immigrants, from piss poor immigrants who have zero. They don't, like my grandmother would say, they don't have a pot or a window. And then you're going to come here and bite the hand that feeds you? Hell no. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sick of it.
Listen, Shelley, you're absolutely right. When we think about what's happening across the country, think about the blue states that aren't even reporting what's happening. Because I can guarantee you, this is not a Dearborn problem. This is not a couple of towns in Texas problem. This has been kind of a sleeper cell situation with us for a very long time. So how do we get out of this situation that we've gotten ourselves into? Well, number one, we're going to have patriots run for local office. Run for local office, because this can't be solved just at the federal level. Every state has its own laws, and then localities have their laws. And if you live in a place that doesn't have counties and sheriffs, y'all need to get a sheriff who's law enforcement, who answers to the people, not to the government. These two things will help tremendously, because you can control the laws around you. Simple things like no Sharia police. There shouldn't be any other policing agencies except for the agencies deemed appropriate by your government. And this is why it's so important for them to get elected. Because Governor Abbott said, we know of at least 2 Sharia courts that are operating in Dallas-Fort Worth area. 2, not 1, 2. And if there are 2, can I tell you, they're probably 50. There are probably many more. You know, when we think about all of the mosques that are opening in New Jersey, in and around New York City, you know, and the call to prayer, but no church bells. These are calls to arms, not for Democrats, not for Republicans, but for Americans. This is a battle for the soul of our nation. And if we do not stand up, we're going to look like the UK. And nobody wants that smoke.
Yeah, it really is. You said it right, Nicole. The battle for the soul of our nation. Americans, take that and take it to Mogadishuapolis. Take it there into Dearborn. That's where we take it to. Take it to them. We have another super chatter here. Thank you all for your super chats. Again, keep hitting that like, share, and subscribe button. It does keep our show up in the algorithms. Tijuana Border Jumper, thank you for coming back tonight. Thank you for your $5 super chat. He says, Nicole, some hearts there, and you're strong. Always the calm voice of reason. And Shelly E bringing the fire. You go, girls. Thank you, Tijuana. We so appreciate you. Thank you.
I think I'm losing.
Well, Nicole, again, we have a truncated show tonight, but before we leave this Minneapolis issue, we still have one more thing to talk about.
Sure.
Unfortunately, the corruption is not only in Mogadishuapolis, okay? It's right here at home, right? For different reasons, but it's still here nonetheless. Take a look at this image. And while this image is up, we're going to talk about what's going on here in Baltimore. So this is our state's attorney, Ivan Bates. He was just elected like 2 years ago. He ran and he beat Marilyn Mosby, our former state prosecutor here in Baltimore. So the mayor, you see that acronym behind him, MUNSI, it stands for Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. So our little pussy punk mayor, Brandon Scott, has this program or this department called MUNSI for short. And MUNSI houses, if you will, all of these other programs. Again, I'm going to say programs, but the real word is NGOs, nonprofits, taxpayer-funded programs that the mayor claims is doing a lot of good for the city. Now, I will say this. Our murders and non-fatal shootings have gone down. I will always applaud that. I don't care who gets the credit. I'm going to applaud that's the case. But Mayor Scott, with these programs, what he's doing is he's not releasing or opening the veil. There is so much secrecy and non-transparency with these programs, and particularly as they relate to juvenile offenders, which across the country, juvenile crimes have gone up. Robberies, auto thefts, things like that. Well, Ivan Bates, thank God for him. Since he has been on the job, we have seen our murder rates and non-fatal shootings go down. Ivan Bates is saying, I'm not working with this group anymore because there's a veil of secrecy that he calls it, and you don't know what's going on. So these programs called Group Violence Reduction Strategy, that's just the one big one. There's some other ones there. All of these funny names. They have Safe Streets and the Sidestep program. Nobody can get any information off of them. We don't know how much money they're being paid, who these people are. We do know that the Catholic Charities Organization and LifeBridge Health are big, program directors. I'll call them program directors. But they get paid taxpayer dollars. But the mayor tells us that we cannot know all the other details, who, what, when, where, and why. Well, Ivan Bates is saying, as a state's attorney, I am not dealing with this particular organization anymore. I'm going to follow the law, the Constitution, and I'm going to prosecute people to the fullest extent of the law that I'm allowed to. I am not working with this program anymore. Basically, I'm going to put words in Ivan Bates's mouth. Basically, it's a scam and a mockery of a scam. Okay, Nicole, fill in some gaps. Did I do wrong? How does this happen?
So listen. Many states have a slush fund, and those slush funds we call NGOs, right? And they have money that they give to groups that are supposed to affect crime rates, homelessness, in California, especially, homeless projects that get fed millions, if not close to $1 billion, with very little, if any, results. When you take a hard look at it, it's usually the same cronies that worked on the campaign, friends from the neighborhood, just their way of funneling taxpayer money into people and other organizations that are going to help them maintain their power. This is just how this works. Is it unfortunate? Absolutely. Is this something worth applauding that Bates is saying, look, this is even too much for me? When any Maryland Dem says it's too much for them, that means there's a big chance of a federal indictment coming. That's what that is. Baltimore's murder rate has dropped significantly, but the pushback is so has their population. Let's do that. There are fewer people to kill. Let's do that. But I would like to say that groups like this MUNSI thing, if run properly with appropriate transparency, may affect. But we'll never know because they're never transparent. We never get the numbers. We never get any details. What we do get is the bill. And in Maryland, they ask you for more every single year. It's more and more money into this bottomless pit that we don't know what's happening. Now, they may have a community event, a parade or two, but it's nowhere near the amount of investment that has been bestowed upon these so-called NGOs that no one knows who's running what, who's doing what. It's on a larger scale. Look at BLM. People gave money because Black Lives Matter. It sounds like a great idea. Let me send you $2,500, something real quick. And all you're doing is funding the leader's personal lifestyle. You're buying mansions and Mercedes and nice clothes and Louboutins. That's what your money is buying, because there is no oversight. There is no transparency. So shout out to Mr. Bates, who's saying, even for me, this is too much. But generally speaking, when Dems start running, it's because something's happened that's going to cause a federal indictment, and none of them want to go down with the ship. So this is going to be an unfolding story.
Wow. Before I respond to you, Nicole, I want to say thank you to Healer Man 77. Thank you for your $5 super chat or your super sticker. We so appreciate you doing that. Nicole, this is what I want to understand. How is it in Baltimore? We know Baltimore very well. And if we talk to people one-on-one, right, we will get a whole different answer or whole different response. These people are typically what we would call, let's say, conservative people, if you will, conservative leaning. They may not call themselves that, but when they speak about, family and, having money to do the things that they need for their kids, education system here. How is it that the vote does not reflect that? I don't understand that. This is a conundrum that has been here for a long time. How does that happen?
Well, twofold. One, people have to trust you in order to vote for you, right? Elections are popularity contests, make no mistake, but they have to have some form of trust. And the distrust in the Republican Party has been bred into this state probably since its inception. There are people who distrust the word Republican. Now, if I tell you I'm a conservative, there's maybe a good chance you won't slam the door in my face. But if I knock on the door and say, hi, my name is Nicole Bennett and I represent the Maryland Republican Party, they slam the door so hard it makes the windows rattle. That kind of distrust is hard to work around. It takes years of chipping away at the wall. And then, of course, you have people who feel like too much change in their neighborhoods will uproot them. Right? Because one thing that Republicans do, one thing that we do really well is that we come in and say, here's a problem, fix this, here's a problem, fix that. And sometimes that fixing, we don't really have a regard of what's happening to the community. So when you talk to independents, even now about what Trump is doing, polls will show that they agree that illegal aliens got to go. They agree that they're driving up housing costs. They agree that there's too much of their tax money is being spent, but they're saying Trump is a bad man for deporting people. Do you see the disconnect? It's just too much change for people who are a little bit emotional. Not enough emotion for people. I think, especially in Baltimore, people are saying, well, if we let the Republicans have it, this is going to be a whole different city. Yes, it'll be a whole different city and it'll be wonderful. But change is scary for people who've been dependent for a very long time.
Yeah, so really, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I mean, because that's really what it is. So again, these people can, and I don't really care for the mayor. I know him personally, unfortunately. He knows me, and when he sees me, he tries to go the other way. But I make a beeline to his face on purpose to say, no, I saw you try to, avoid me, but we're going to be here and you want to talk to me. But he's a little punk. That's what I call him. But again, these same people in Baltimore City and, I would say Maryland in general, they vote in the same people, but they expect something different. I agree with you. They don't really want change, but the taxpayers, again, are funding these NGOs, subsidies, whatever these grants are to these nonprofits. And we're not getting a good bang for our buck, certainly not in the area of juvenile crime, which Catholic Charities and LifeBridge Health, they are supposed to be directed for those particular areas as well. Thank God for shock trauma. Shock trauma handles, the medical traumatic cases. Thank God for those people there. But Catholic Charities and LifeBridge Health, they're supposed to be the social changers, if you will, changing the culture. But we're not getting that. When do we wake up?
We don't, because again, people don't like change. Change is difficult. When we think back to great shifts in American culture, some people will tell you horrible things happened when we went to an industrialized society. It's just because it's hard to let go of what you found comfortable, even if it is victimhood. even if it is abject poverty, even if it is living in a war zone, it becomes your comfort. It becomes your thing. There are conservative voices who live in blue states, kind of like we do, and they have grown accustomed to being, the lapdogs, to be, treated poorly. It just becomes your second nature. Same thing with Democrats who live in red states. It becomes your second nature. It becomes your normal. So what is the catalyst for change? Two things make people change. One, handcuffs, guaranteed to make some changes in your life. And two, losing your resources. Losing your resources makes you reconsider everything in your life. Suddenly things become important that were never important before. So people try to avoid those two things like the plague, even if it means voting for the people that you know doggone well are robbing you blind. They say it's better to pick the devil that you know than the devil that you don't. This is where that trust comes in. This is where that trust comes in. Maryland had a fantastic Republican governor. His name was Bob Ehrlich. We still call him Governor Bob. Governor Bob was a tremendous person in the House of Delegates. He served in Maryland Senate, went on to the House of Representatives, came back and served as governor. And let me tell you something. This man turned this state around in one term. In one term. He made Maryland profitable. He brought in hundreds of thousands of jobs. And not just federal worker jobs, but tech jobs, jobs for everybody, things that everybody could do. He did that, and they would not reelect him. He lost his reelection bid.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. People like their comfort, even if it's uncomfortable. It is just ridiculous.
Wow. Let me say a thank you to our super chatters before I respond. So before I mention the super chats, I do want to say again, you are in the right place. This is Poppin' Politics. It's Nicole and me tonight. KJ is off, and Tyrone, he was going to come, but he couldn't make it. Nevertheless, we want to thank you all for joining us here. We are live. Yes, you're in the right place. Hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And we are just so thankful that you're here with us on this Wednesday night. I don't know where you all are, but it's a little chilly here. But we have brought some heat tonight. I want you to go back. If you're just coming in, make sure you go back, hit that rewind button on YouTube, and watch this show from the beginning. While you're here, those people who have given us super chats, we want to call you out. We have Reldon65. Thank you for your $2 super chat, Reldon. We so appreciate it. And Kung Fu CJ for your $2 super chat again. He says, Shelly E, he is afraid that you will put a cap. He don't even need a cap. You could just slap him like a bitch slap, and he would go
Lord
down.
have mercy, Shelly.
But anyway, he don't need a cap. He just need a slap. But
you know what he needs? He needs that Maryland Man t-shirt. That's what you should buy for him. You should buy him that t-shirt and send it to his office and let him walk around like a proud Maryland man. That would be some funny stuff, because I don't think he would get the gist of the whole thing, but it would be definitely delicious for us to see that somewhere. Folks, listen, Christmas is coming. I'm telling you, you got 22 days. 22 days. Order now so you can get it before Christmas. Package it up, and it'll be a great gift for your family. Even people who are not conservative are unapologetically American. So this is a shirt and a hat that you can give to anybody in your family. And it is going to be a great time to have these shirts. I keep, telling you guys over and over again about America's 250th birthday celebration that's going to take place every day of next year. There are so many organizations who are doing so many great events. January is already packed. February, my organization, we're having our annual honors gala, and it is going to be epic. The Black Conservative Federation throws a party. People can say what they want to, but we throw a party. But this one is going to be epic. It's going to be our 10th birthday. So if you think we showed out last year for 9 or 8 when we had the president of the United States, you ain't seen nothing for 10. It's going to be an absolute hoot. So get your tickets now, get your shirts now so you can show up and be cute. Everything that's going on next year, you need to be dressed for. So don't just buy one, maybe 2 or 3.
That's right. BCF does give very, very nice events. So Nicole will be telling you more about this as you get closer. Make sure you get your tickets. But Josh is here with us. Hi, Josh. Thank you for your $20 super chat. He says, hey, Shelly and Nicole. He just ran in the door. He's sending lots of love from Cape Cod, and he's going to order his Maryland Man shirt. That's right, Josh. You wear it, Josh. But the punk mayor and the bitch governor, I don't even think they could wear it well. I mean, I want them to have it because I want them to buy it, but they wouldn't wear it well. They'd be too bitchy the way when they wear it.
I should get one for Governor Bob. He would like that. He would wear
that governor, yes, but not that they're going, whatever, ass more. Anyway, I said I was gonna stop cursing, y'all. These people got me so fired up tonight. They get on my nerves. They just get on my nerves, okay? But anyway, you all don't. You have been great supporting us here tonight. Nicole, we got to talk about this very briefly before we go.
Sure.
So, in all the topics, we started off with Candace Owens and TPUSA. We talked about Minneapolis. We kind of dug in there a little bit. And then we wound up here in our hometown here in Maryland and Baltimore. But in all of these, particularly all of these instances and all of these things we talked about, there's this thin line, if you will, that's running through all of them. Many of these things we probably would not know about if it were not for technology and social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are pros and there are cons. But do you think, let me ask you this, not do you think, I don't want to put it in your mouth. What do you think about technology, social media, if you will, running through all these themes, but just what's your gut, if you will, with technology today? Is it more of a net positive or a net negative?
So I think it's a net positive. Anytime people can have information at their fingertips that helps them in their daily lives, it's always a wonderful thing. However, there needs to be better safety parameters, especially for our children. Because just like it's easy for me to get great information that I need to maybe do a home project, that kind of thing, people who prey on our children, people who lust after our children, use the same technology to hurt us. So we have to do some things defensively to make sure that our children stay safe from predators. I know Australia has very strong laws about children and what they can and can't do online. In fact, there's a case there now where one of the 13-year-olds is trying to sue them to get more access to the internet. But it's important from a parenting perspective. And I don't mean parenting just your own children, but I mean as a collective of adults, we have to guard the future and make sure that our future has not been or will not be molested or maligned online.
Mm. And I agree with what you said, Nicole. Certainly social media has been used for, there's some good uses that come from it. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe I'm getting cynical as I get older. I don't know, but I think that it's a net negative now. Again, I'm not knocking the positive uses. You're right. We can do all those things. Information. What was the old saying used to be on the radio station? Information is power, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a positive, being able to, literally kind of travel the world, so to speak, getting information from all over the world at your, in a snap. I think those are positive things. Teaching, you can teach with the social media, things like that. But I think net, I think it's a negative. And I think I'll tell you why. I think the cultural impact that it has on us from your mind, even biophysically, right? Mm-hmm. We can't even go to bed without our cell phones nearby, so to speak. We can't put them down. You leave the house without your cell phone and you're breaking neck to get back to get it, right? Hopefully you don't knock anybody else over or run somebody over, but it didn't used to be like that. Nowadays, we can't even memorize phone numbers like we used to be able to. I still know my phone number, my grandmother's phone number from when I was a little girl at elementary school. I could spill it off to you right now. We can't even remember phone numbers, but we know how to go to that phone and pull it up in our contacts. So I think that we are losing some very personable skills, if you will, social skills, not to have a pun there. I think we're losing some of the best parts of us because of technology. And again, like as you mentioned, the impact on our children sleeping, they're not sleeping well. I see babies, literally babies in the baby carriage. They know how to work the phone better than I do, and they can't even speak clearly. I'm serious.
Yeah, I know. They get on those tablets and it's something to see. Yeah.
And I can ask a toddler, well, how do you find such and such? Because I don't know, and they can probably show me, right? So I think it's a close, I'm going to say it's a 50-50 or it's a 60-40 in the wrong way. Again, maybe I'm being cynical, maybe I'm not being fair enough, I don't know, but that's just I would say my gut.
Here's another way to look at it. One of the points that you made is that, Americans used to know phone numbers. Americans used to know how to read a map, all those kind of things. And in a very short amount of time, we have been re-educated, right? So there's nothing to say that we can't be re-educated again into a different way. So when I talk about social media influences and things that are coming, I like to think about artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence, the little tiny things that we do day to day, it's kitschy, it helps a bit. If you got to write a quick note and you don't feel like typing it out, you can ask Grok to do it for you. You can ask, all of these different apps to help out. That's a good thing. But more significantly, as this thing grows, it's becoming the new space race. Who's going to get the best AI first? Will it be the United States? Will it be China? So there is a push for big tech to do it bigger, better, and smarter than the Chinese, who have pretty much infiltrated us and stole technology and are racing us to this end. But the question then is, what is the end? What is the end? And can we protect our culture and our children, our nation's future, in the process? You're right. Listen, I have a millennial staff. They call me professionally one of the millennial whisperers because most of my staff members are incredibly young. And yes, they can have their cell phones. Yes, they can have their smartwatches. I don't mind, because if I think they're overusing or not doing enough work, I use my little supercomputer to text them to say, get the hell off your cell phone and get back to work, right? You have to meet people where they are. But this generation has learned a lot of things that I didn't know. They think much quicker. They get from point A to point B much faster, kind of like a computer. Unfortunately, they don't go any further than 60 characters, maybe 120 characters. But that's a limitation, and you learn to work around it. I think there's some very good positive things, but I think you're right. It's close to a 50-50 toss-up. Is this good for us? Is this bad for us? I'm always concerned, however, that where we see positives and it makes it easier for our lives, it also makes it easier for criminals, the scammers, to scam old people who aren't paying attention. It gives someone access to you in a way that they physically would never have. And so when you think about people who may not be kind of hitting on all cylinders, it makes them easy prey when we could have back in the day just locked the door and kept the world out. So it's a toss-up.
I agree with you. And one thing I think is I love to get on this is funny, and I'm aware of the irony. Okay. When I get the message on my phone that says I've used my phone an hour less or whatever, an hour and a half less than the previous week, right? And I'm so tickled by that. And then I say, you goofy. I got to pick up the phone for that to tell me. I mean, the irony therein, right? I mean, look, I'm guilty. I'm as guilty as anybody else. So, and I try to kind of wean myself away from it sometimes, but being a news junkie, I'm as glued to my phone as anybody else. So I am not casting judgment or criticism. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking about myself as well. Absolutely. But so we have a couple more super chatters before we go. The Scrapping Beauty joined us. Thank you, Scrapping Beauty. Thank you for your $10 super chat. And she says, I ordered my hat. She's ready to wear organic, nothing grosser. Karen's beware. I got big biceps. That's right. Oh, that's right. Thank you. Bernie NRNY. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Says sending you all love from New York. New York, I want you all to be just like Mogadishu-Apolis. Get up and take your city back. But as for Nicole and I, KJ will be back I think Monday. And Nicole and I will be holding it down. And we're going to be here on Friday. We thank you all for joining us tonight. We thank you for your super chats. Thank you for your super chats. We thank you for your donations. We thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to our site. Nicole, tell them how to get the merchandise one more time, and we will be out of here.
Listen, hit the link at the bottom of the page. Get your shirts now. It is probably 20 shopping days before Christmas. If you give yourself 5-6 days for delivery, you're cutting it pretty close, family. You're cutting it pretty close. Get in here now. Get it while it's hot and fresh. And listen, if you have any ideas for what the next series of shirts should say, put it in the chat, because I know KJ and Reason and the rest of the MCM team absolutely look at this. So it would be very interesting to see what you guys think the next series of shirts should say.
All right, everybody, that is our show for tonight. It's been a wrap. We so enjoyed you all. Thank you for supporting us. We are out of here. We will see you on Friday. Don't forget to check out our other channels, sister channels on the MCM platform. You have All American Talk Show. That was actually last night. You have tomorrow, Christian Conservative with KJ. Fridays, we're back. Saturdays, it's just the guys at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Check them out. Go to their page. Go to their pages. Look at all the replays, if you will. Like, share, and subscribe there too. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed this show. Before we go, we got Kung Fu CJ again for his $2 super chat. He says he's trying to be on. Oh, with just the guys. All right, let them know, Kung Fu, and Logic or Reason will follow up with you. I'm sure they will. Thank you. I want to say thank you to our producers before we go.
Oh, yes.
You all just don't, you may not know. I shouldn't say you don't know. You may not know. Getting prepared for a show, we try to make it look seamless and not so much easy, but certainly seamless. But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So I want to send a big thank you to our producers, Reason, Logic, Gimpy. And I think we have a special surprise because some of you have been asking for her. I think she might be back with us on Friday. I'll let you figure out who it is. I'll let you stay tuned. Come on Friday. You got to see what the surprise is. Have a good night, everybody. And we'll see you on Friday. Bye-bye.
Bye.